line. But today, guests are in person here at Swayze Field, and we're joined by David Kellum, the voice of the Rebels. Is that fun to listen back to that?
That is so much fun. It doesn't get old even for me. I mean, I've heard it now a million times, and it's really, really cool. You know, the interesting part of that, of course, you've been in play-by-play for a long time, Richard, is that a couple of my peers contacted me earlier in that day via text and said, you got something planned if you win it all in this game? And I just said, no, I'm not writing anything down. If I write something down, I'll screw that up. So I may have told you on your show before, but I did just went and called it, and it came out pretty decent. But what an incredible season. I know that we're about to start another one. I can't believe we're about to do that either. It seemed like we just left Omaha yesterday. But it was a phenomenal year. And for me personally, on what's been a long, long career, it's really fun to be able to do that for sure.
David Kellum with us inside Swayze Field. Season opener tomorrow. It's the beginning of season number what?
For me?
For you.
45.
That's
Is that
incredible.
Right? Mm-hmm.
That's really cool.
64 years old now, so I'm closer to the end than the beginning, I would think, by now. You're talking about football schedules 14 years from now. DK won't be dealing with that. I'm looking about.
Don't know where you're going to be when Ole Miss plays Purdue in 2037, but it's not going to be West Lafayette, Indiana.
Yeah, I hope I'm around, even, I can sit up and try to watch it maybe. But, a lot of people ask about retiring. A lot of folks have retired here in the league just the last few years, But I don't know if it'll be a year, 3 years, 5 years, 8 years, whatever. As long as they enjoy it and, enjoy the prep piece of it, we'll see. But those future schedules, I'm not paying much attention. Jack Christie used to tell me all the time when I asked him, I said, Jack, how many more years are you going to go? And he went many more after the first time started. He said, well, David, I'm not buying any green bananas right now. It's one of the greatest lines of all time.
That's really good. I asked Mike yesterday, spent some time with him, a long interview. He was great. And I asked him, season ended. They came home for the quick celebration and the parade. He has to go to North Carolina for Team USA baseball. Then they go across the world. And I asked him, I said, when did you get to the point where you just kind of sat down and reflected a little bit and thought about it, and it was like, holy cow, did that really happen? Did you have a moment like that? Because
I did.
Season ended, and you go into a little bit of a hibernation in the summer where you don't do as many radio shows, and you kind of disconnect after a long season, well-deserved. When did that moment come for you?
Well, going back to Mike, we know him. He put 150% into that piece too, and so it was kind of, a situation where he couldn't really celebrate it till he got back. So right. I know that was his deal. My deal was getting back, and normally we don't go that far, so I've got a 2-month gap. Well, we're already talking football by the time I get back, and I'm like, whoa, time out. I need a minute. A little time off. But I don't know, maybe a couple of weeks after the celebration, and then Mary and I spent probably a month just every now and then looking at each other and say, we won a national championship. I mean, and it's still kind of sinking in, I guess. But it was a strange season from the struggles in the middle, a fun story, a great story, in fact. But it took me a couple of weeks for it to really sink in.
Yeah, a team that went from number one to unranked and looking like they might not even make the SEC tournament to they make the SEC tournament, get bounced. Last team into the field, and then they carry a trophy off.
Win it all. Richard, I felt good, though, getting in. We were playing good baseball by that point. Losing to Vanderbilt in the first game of the SEC tournament is not a shock by any means. I mean, gosh, that thing is one of the best events that we have in the country. But
you just hope that didn't cost you.
Right. So once you got in, you felt like, okay, we got the pitching going. We're hitting the ball really good. We got a chance to see how deep we can go. I don't know if their goal was to win it all, obviously, once you get in. But I don't know if you anticipate that. Let's see how far we can go. You had tough assignments because you didn't play well at home. The amazing thing is we didn't play a single one of those games here. I mean, the month of June, we're in Miami, we're in Hattiesburg, we're in Omaha. I was at my house 5 days. 5 days I spent the night at my house in the month of June. So you didn't do any of it with the advantage you got at home. And so that's a big piece of the story as well. But, boy, the guys just played really, really good. And it was a fun run for sure.
All right, so looking at this 2023 season, you got faces returning. But there are also a bunch of guys that meant a lot to this program for a long time who are gone. I always think there's a fascinating – and you've seen it go both ways, right? I mean, we talked lots about Mississippi State. They won it all 2 years ago. Had a ton of injuries last year. They ended up finishing last in the SEC, but we've also seen, if you want to go back a little farther, a team like South Carolina that goes back-to-back national championships. And I'm always curious about how you get your guys back, how you get them locked in and focused, and you turn the page and you I asked Mike about that. He didn't seem to think that was an issue at all for this particular team. But it is a fascinating kind of mindset that you've got into to start over.
Well, I think it's the consistent approach that Mike's had to his program for years and years and years. I mean, they get to the beginning of the start of a season, and they feel pretty good about having taken care of crossing the T's and dotting the I's and ready to start a new season. There's always some mystery because you have turnover, every single year. But I look up, and we're ranked, I think, as high as 4th in one of the national polls, and we're preseason picked 4th in the West of the SEC. So that's kind of the way it is in our league and all. It's a tough league, and you got a chink in the armor. You get in trouble in a hurry. But there's some good parts coming back. They paid Chatagnier is a great piece, and Kemp Alderman, the step he made from 2 years ago to last year was phenomenal. So you got Kemp back in the lineup, and there will be some newness and some new players we're not familiar with, but that kind of happens every single year. Hunter Elliott being back is gigantic, obviously, and we'll see how the bullpen kind of shakes out down the road as well. But
you're in the middle of basketball right now. Have you had a chance to watch any of the inter-squad games?
Like 3 innings. I swung by here, saw a little bit periodically, but no, I haven't had a chance to devour it by any means because we've been traveling doing hoops left and right, but I'm excited to see some of the new guys, see what they can do.
So what do you you heard me say I was going to throw math at you.
Yeah.
This booth over here, which has been your home in this stadium since, kind of.
Actually,
since
I started in this one. This was the home booth until we hosted a regional one year, and I realized that booth was better. I don't guess I ever went down there. I said, we're going to switch down there. Langston Rogers said, why do you want to switch booths? I said, well, it's got a shelf in the back and cabinets. It's a whole lot better
room.
Booth. Yeah. You just switch the name. That's home. This is visitors, But, yeah, we're talking about the number of hours. Gosh, I don't know. You figure if you want to do just broadcast time, 3.5 hours a game or whatever for all those years, it's a bunch of hours. I'll say that much.
Yeah. We were playing around with numbers, and we came up with a little over 6,000 hours.
Oh, wow.
Which is a lot.
That's a bunch of
if you
hours.
think about a standard work year, like for an 8 to 5, 40, that's 2,000 hours.
Learfield owes me a raise, right, Houston? We need to go.
Can you negotiate that on the air?
I need to negotiate that right here on the air with them. And you got to love the game and sports, and to be able to sit there and do that for that long. And I do. I love the sports that I call, and I don't really think about it too much from a time standpoint.
What is it about the ballpark? You and I have spent a lot of hours together in these booths, in this stadium, and in booths in other places as well. But there's something that feels different about getting to the ballpark in baseball than, I don't know, it feels getting early to a football stadium or to a basketball arena. So what is it about baseball that just kind of grabs you and pulls you in, and it just feels comfortable?
The other things going on, batting practice. Getting to visit with the coaches a little bit. It's not quite as intense. Not that they're not focused and really ready to play a game, but it's not quite as intense. Basketball's kind of boom, boom, and you play. Football is really, really tight, and you don't really have access to players. They're on the field. You can, hang out behind the batting cage and do things. So early arrival's always been something I've enjoyed through the years. And, I can't tell you how many times I've met somebody behind, the cage at other schools and built a relationship with them just simply because we're watching BP. You know?
It's certainly is unique. New faces, we mentioned that. Grayson Saunier, who I guess you will not get to see this weekend since basketball on Saturday.
Yeah.
But a freshman that people think is going to be a star. Transfers, which is kind of a different piece than we've had in recent years in the college baseball world. As you've talked with Mike and maybe Carl Lafferty and Mike Clement and some others around the program, your thoughts on this season that begins tomorrow?
I think most of my conversation has been with Mike Clement, and he's been very, very positive. He really knows the pitchers well because his guys have been facing
them all the time.
And he told me, I said, what about the rotation? And Mike said, it's good. So if he says it's good, I'm believing it. Not that the offense didn't have some success, but we'll see how it pans out.
You're always gracious with your time. Thanks for stopping by.
I love you, brother.
David Kellum.
See ya.
From the Ole Miss Sports Network, from Learfield play-by-play. He'll be on the call for opening day tomorrow.
I do get opening day tomorrow, yeah.
Ole Miss in Delaware, 3:30 airtime, 4 o'clock first pitch. Season opener here.